an organizer with the ACLU Smart Justice Campaign, along with my colleague Anderson. And we're going to give a brief discussion about dignity in the court system before you guys go to your table discussions.
Thank you, Gus. My name is Anderson Curtis, organizer with the Smart Justice Campaign with the ACLU of Connecticut. We're here to introduce dignity in the courts for this community dialogue. So I'm here to share with you my truth, my experience. I found no dignity in the court. Every time I went to court, either for myself or a family member, it was always about negotiating loss. How much loss can I minimize today? How much loss can I mitigate today? It was never about dignity. I'm 56 years old, and for the past 10 years, I'm just now going into the front door of the courthouse. Every other time, I entered the courthouse from the basement, from either a jail or a prison. So I know what it's like to sit in the basement. I know what it's like to come upstairs from the basement. I know what it's like to sit and wait to come upstairs from the basement. I know what it's like to sit in court for my loved ones, waiting for them to come upstairs from the basement. And none of that had to do with dignity, because when you come up from the basement, you come up shackled.
So again, that's my experience. That's my truth. Dignity in the court, to me, is mythical. You know, I had to define dignity in the court in the system that, in terms of what it is not versus what it is. Because again, my experience found dignity to be mythical, like the unicorns my granddaughter believes in.
One of the last times I was in court, I had a violation of probation. And I had a bond at the time that I couldn't afford, so I came into court from lockup. I was shackled, I was handcuffed, I was wearing prison tans. My family was in the courtroom there to support me. The hearing was in the mid-afternoon, around 3 o'clock. They had been waiting in court since 9 or 10 o'clock that morning. When I got to my table, my lawyer asked if my handcuffs could be removed so I could go through some of the paperwork that was on the table in front of me. The prosecutor didn't agree with that, and the judge said that I don't see any reason that he could remove his handcuffs, so I had to keep them on. The hearing lasted about 2 hours. At the end of that 2 hours, I had an opportunity to make a statement in court, so I stood up. Again, my feet are shackled, my prison tans are on, and my hands are cuffed together, and I'm holding like a little piece of paper in front of me that I'd written down my statement on. And at the end of that hearing, my probation was reinstated, and I actually went home that night. So I went from coming out in lockup, led by judicial marshal, in front of my family, cuffed, shackled, prison tans, to being back with my family at the end of the day. And so you can say that the eventual outcome was what I wanted, but the process in terms of getting there was really difficult, to say the least.
Gus is going to share some questions with you. Your table facilitators will be sharing those questions with you. One of the questions is a definition of dignity. I'm big on quotes, so I'm just going to share a quote about dignity with you, and I'm going to get out of the way. To quote Rick Bragg, every life deserves a certain amount of dignity, no matter how poor or damaged the shell that carries it. So again, I invite you all to an honest, thoughtful dialogue today, and you know, this is the place to let it all hang out.
Just a last piece. One of the reasons we wanted to do the dignity in the court section is that Connecticut right now is in interesting spot where we have an opening, the chief state's attorney, for the first time since 2006. That's going to be a new person. There's an opportunity for everyone in the state to get involved in talking about what characteristics, what priorities, whoever gets that job, what should be the things they focus on as the chief state's attorney, the #1 prosecutor for the state of Connecticut. It's a big question. There was a public hearing a couple of weeks ago that gave members of the public for the first time an opportunity to talk about the types of priorities that they want the next chief state's attorney to focus on. That hiring process is going on right now. So in terms of what we all can do is getting involved in that selection process, being able to tell the Criminal Justice Commission, which is the body that appoints prosecutors in Connecticut, what they want to see and who Connecticut's next chief state's attorney is going to be. I think now we're going to go to the table discussions.
Yeah, so it's your time. Let's get it started.
Join and actually go through the training and learn just like everyone else. Someone talked about that you don't have skills or you come out of the baby. Well, the military wants you that way, right? They want to be able to imprint themselves on you.
Because they don't have to, they don't care about it.
Right.
Cops, they have this thin line between respecting your rights as the First Amendment, but you lose that in prison. So a lot of your rights is many times that's an infraction. Ticket for tickets, you went to send for it. It must have been really that bad.
So I mean, it goes back to that education piece too, right?
Yeah.
And at as many different levels as possible.
Because you know the charges, if anybody dies, no matter how they die,
You can do a
and
felony murder.
okay, they have a heart
They
attack.
can do felony
It's
murder.
felony murder.
Yeah.
So when they telling me that I committed a robbery, I'm going,
on the level
I ain't robbed nobody. They robbed me.
Grand jury indictment. That's why we got grand jury.
Oh, we got
case in
We
Connecticut.
got rid of it, yo.
All we got is probable cause. If we had a grand jury, it wouldn't be murder. A lot of the cases.
When it comes to the criminal justice system and dignity and reentry, when you have a violent crime like manslaughter, robbery, or something like that, nobody gives you a second chance, not even on a job application or during a job interview.
Even if you have a non-violent crime, like a gun charge is non-violent, that's enough.
But a lot of people mistake gun charges for a violent crime,
yeah.
right? So gun charges is non-violent.
Community or justice to make sure this happens? What are some of the things we can do for people that come home that are going to?
You know, if you're released and every time you turn around, it is something else negative. You're unable to find gainful employment. You're unable to use the skills that you cultivated while you were in. You go to what's the point?
How do we know he's not going to attack us or do something crazy? They have that stereotype of